It is basically an informal meeting, nothing formal, but still we have structured it a bit. Suresh Prabhuji will be joining in a minute. When he joins, what we can do is we'll just have a introduction of all our members today who are attending this program. I will request Vaibhav ji to introduce the distinguished members of this meeting, and just briefly, if somebody wants to add anything further to that, so you're always free to do that. So Vaibhav ji can maybe.
Good afternoon.
So before he introduces others, I'll introduce him. He was actually he is the founder director of this organization. So since he became busy with the ministry work, so now others we are looking after this initiative, and wherever we need any support or help, he's always there. So he can maybe start with a small background of. In fact, he should start with small background of IFG, how it started, and then introduce other members.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. Good afternoon, everybody. As Sanjay ji said, this whole initiative started in 2012-13 when, of course, Anna Patil ji, Suresh Prabhu ji himself. So Nitin Gadkari ji and Suresh Prabhu ji, both, as you know, are always championing the cause of alternative fuels, green energy, and they have been regularly talking about these things. So then the whole idea came, why don't we create a platform where, a very constructive, serious discussions and engagement happens, which helps the government also to formulate necessary policies. So right platform to have some advocacy, to share some experiences. So that was the idea how this whole process began. And I think that thought process went on for almost a couple of years to get actually evolved. I think it's still evolving, but we started with alternative fuels and slowly expanding the whole discussion, and in a way now evolving to a larger platform of green energy, so that anybody and everybody who is working into green energy can start contributing on this platform. Anna Patil ji, Vidya Murkumbi ma'am, they all initially started getting involved, and things started shaping up. In 2000, Suresh Prabhu ji, welcome, Suresh ji.
Suresh ji, welcome.
संजय जी, मैं इधर ही हूँ, मैं आपको सुन भी रहा हूँ. थोड़ा सा कुछ लोग हैं तो आपका प्रोग्राम शुरू करके मैं देख भी रहा हूँ.
नमस्ते सुरेश जी.
हाँ, नहीं विद्या ताई, I am in the program. I am listening to all of you.
Okay.
I have some business, so I'll just. But you continue with the program. Pramod ji, मैं आया तुमसे बोलो.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
मैं एकता सका तुमसे.
Sir, Suresh ji, we just starting by introducing everybody, so that then we can take forward the agenda. We have today Anna Saab Patil. As we all know, Anna Saab Patil has been a staunch torchbearer of alternative fuels, biodiesel, ethanol. It was he, during his tenure as the MOS in the Mr. Vajpayee government, that he pioneered the cause of ethanol and biodiesel, and government formulated a policy, and he happened to champion that policy there, and then the whole process of acceptance and focus on biofuel in the government started. So I think it is he who should be credited to start those discussions in the government. Then we have Vidya Murkumbi ma'am. She has been into the sugar sector from quite a long time. We all have heard of Renuka Sugars. the chairperson of the company. She was also, involved when we started discussion on IFG, and then she, agreed to lead the process for first couple of years, and she's still continuing to help us. She has been the former president of IFG and presently vice chairman of IFG. Pramod Chaudhary ji, we all know, not only in India but globally, he's been recognized for his contribution to the cause of developing technologies for these alternative and green fuels, green energy. And he has been championing and contributing in developing the entire thought process of bioenergy, biomobility in India. And today, none other than him probably is the right person to lead this whole, sector. So he's presently president of IFG. Then we have Sanjay Ganju, who has a vast experience of working with these kind of, sectoral and policy advocacy organizations. He has been into FICCI. He was director there. Then he was CEO Bhaskar Foundation. Bhaskar Foundation again is the organization which works on skilling and those areas. And now he is chairperson of the Bhaskar Foundation, and he's also experience and support to the entire structural and administrative formation of this organization. And he's presently Director General of IFG. Atul is joining us shortly. Then we have Colonel Manish Ahuja, Lieutenant Colonel Manish Ahuja. He's Managing Director of Punjab Renewable Energy Systems. Again, Punjab Renewable Energy System is a very promising and upcoming company into the bioenergy sphere. And he will be, of course, sharing his thoughts and about his experiments and his company. We also have Mr. Anil Mutha, who is CMD of Mutha Industry. Again, Mr. Mutha is the leading player into the bamboo-based, industry. And one of the areas in which IFG has been successful in convincing the government and helping government to formulate the right policy has been the bamboo, which is a kind of one of the success area which IFG has been able to create its presence, create the right influence to make sure that necessary policy framework is formed in the government. And I think Mr. Mutha has been consistently contributing on that thought process with IFG. So he has been one of the major contributors in doing that. We have Mr. Venugopal Nair. He works with Praj Industry, and he has been very, very active. From the day one, we thought of developing this kind of platform, and he has been contributing. He's of course based out of Pune, but he frequently travels to Delhi and helps us all on those areas. Then we have Sandeep Teng, my colleague. Sandeep has been the agriculture graduate, agriculture engineer, and then he has developed expertise on the bamboo and bamboo-based the entire ecosystem value chain of bamboo. He has also done his training in China on the bamboo value chain, and he has been contributing to IFG on the those verticals. We have Praful Pathak. He's president of Solar Energy Society of India. Praful Pathak is also one of the guys who has been from day one very positive and contributing in formation of this platform. Not only IFG, but he has been very active in those kind of different areas where he has been regularly working. He also represents government of Maharashtra's electricity companies in Delhi. He is the representative of government of Maharashtra's electricity companies in Delhi. So he has been contributing, working in the energy sector, particularly power sector, and he's also president of Solar Society. So he has been one of the major pioneers, rather founders into the IFG. Then we have Mr. Rajendra Kharul. Rajendra Kharul, has he joined? I think he has not joined. Santosh Gundrekar, of course, we all know he has been, founder of Prime Move Engineering. He is founder of, Gangotri Eco Technologies Private Limited. And as we all know him personally, he has been one of the innovators into these green technologies, particularly in the sphere of converting waste to the energy, or bio-waste to the energy, or bio to energy. All those technologies he has been working on, and we all know him personally has been a great contributor. Mr. Chandrasekhar is representing KPIT. KPIT has also been one of the first partners into the Indian IFG platform, and they have been working on electric vehicles and green vehicles. So I think he is also one of the major contributors. Raman, of course, is working closely into the secretariat with IFG and coordinating those activities. I think Mr. Chandan has joined. Can Mr. Chandan or Mr. Sanjay, can you introduce Chandan?
He's from my company, a colleague, and is the Chief Strategy and Business Officer at Prespel. So I requested him to join this meeting so that further engagements also he can be available. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
I think I tried to, in a way, kept it brief. Please don't mind if I have missed out on any specific introduction. Of course, I have missed out Colonel Patil. Colonel Patil is the director of the Central Institute of Road Transport, which is a government of India's premium institute into road transport, which does testings and particularly on the commercial vehicles, buses, and he has developed an entire vertical on for the type approvals of alternative fuel vehicles, electric vehicles. So he has been also very strong supporter and partner into the IFG has been doing in last 3-4 years. In fact, IFG and CIRT had jointly done a couple of programs, conferences, discussions, seminars on this entire sphere. So I think I'll keep it brief. I'll close my introduction here because and if anything I have left out, kindly add whenever you are participating in your discussion about you. Sorry, one more introduction I want to do. We have, please introduce yourself.
Pleasure to connect with all of you. My name is Amol Nisal and I'm leading the business unit of sustainable aviation at Praj. And I'll be talking about how IFG can play a significant role in promotion of ultra advanced biofuel. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have, at least a brief introduction so that each one of us knows all of us. So idea was basically Sureshji had several rounds of meetings with Vaibhavji and me in last 3-4 months, and his vast experience of being in government, and that to a passionate person who works on these sectors which are extremely important for development of a country which needs certain sustainable structures. So he has been prompting us to push us. He has been motivating us to do something good for this sector as well as to further strengthen this organization IFGE. He shared various ideas with us in the past, and based on that only we thought we should organize a small meeting of our important stakeholders who represent a cross section of this industry, whether they are from the industry, they are themselves the leading players, they are experts, they are technologists, they are technocrats, they are government representatives, so that we have a small brainstorming of what these sectors have for us in store in terms of promises. That too, when Government of India is putting a lot of focus on these sectors, yesterday's budget is also an indication towards that. So based on that, we thought we should have this meeting, and we'll just share a couple of thoughts with Suresh Prabhuji, and then we will listen to him also. I will slightly, introduce IFG with you. This presentation we had made, we had developed, in consultation with Suresh Prabhuji also as to how IFG should, proceed. I'm just sharing that presentation with you. and then we will have couple of idea taking sessions from you, and then Sureshji will advise us how to move forward. See, this is Indian Federation of Green Energy. As you are aware, Vaibhav has also given a brief introduction of how we have been working in the past. And basically idea was...
Sanjay, if you can full screen that.
Yes, I will. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Thank you.
So I will not get into more details of this. Vaibhav has already touched this in his initial brief. So the mission again is to make energy security a reality by promoting sustainable energy ecosystem, to be voice of Indian green energy, policy advocacy issues which we can take up for the benefit of this sector, partner. This in fact was idea of Suresh Prabhuji only, that we should have the IFG should become a national to global level organization, and that too from grassroots, district level, block level organization to international tie-ups, so that the entire value chain gets benefited. To provide platform to institutions, organizations, and think tanks to contribute towards achieving the national vision for India to emerge as global leader, to be umbrella organization to represent leaders of green energy sector. Again, the objective is to, this again was discussed with Suresh Prabhuji, that we should have a green energy mapping of the entire country, of all states, in terms of what they have in the stores, in terms of resources, in terms of projects, in terms of different initiatives, to detailed study of global best practices, technologies, policies for development of green energy ecosystem, identify, support, and partner for effective implementation of best practices in green energy area, integrate interests of all stakeholders, support capacity building in various sectors, address energy needs of India, promote manufacturing, promote energy efficiency, public awareness and promotion and development of green energy. So advantage of getting associated with IFG should be basically that, again, the vision which Suresh Prabhuji shared with us, that local to global, right from grassroots level up to the international level, where we can have a holistic integral approach encompassing all sectors, pool of experts, pool of expert policy influencers, data and information backup, successful partnership with government and on various initiatives. In fact, here I would cite an example when we did policy advocacy for bamboo. So Prime Minister's office was amazed to see the kind of documentation we had done, the kind of facts we had put across. So based on that only, they supported our plea that the sector should be reformed. So these are different programs which we can organize in terms of taking it. We have been organizing many of these in the past. In future also we organize such programs to take our objectives forward. You are aware, Gadkari ji and Suresh Prabhuji, they are our patrons. They were instrumental in setting up this organization. And our office bearers, Anna Saab is our chairman, Pramod Chaudhary ji is the president, Vidya Mukhar Gambe ji is vice president. And I am just looking after the day-to-day affairs here with the support of a secretariat where Raman, Sandeep, they all are working full-time for promotion of IFG. These are basically some, and then we had on the basis of discussion with our Pramod ji, Vidya madam, and Suresh Prabhuji. This is the structure which we had envisaged, where this is the structure of organization. That is what we are planning. We have an IFG, then patrons, then we have ZDM, and we have advisory board, national executive committee. We have sectoral committees on different sectors. In fact, hydrogen fuel, which we had planned much earlier. Yesterday, the mission has also been announced. So a lot needs to be done. National, regional basis, national basis, we have different chapters. So different departments which we can, work with. So this is the structure which we are actually planning to have. And just for your information, these are some of the programs which we are planning, forthcoming programs which are on our agenda. One is our annual award, Green Energy Award. Then we are organizing an online conference on e-mobility, and we'll also be organizing something on bamboo. So these are some plans which are programs which we have already planned. So this is a small brief presentation which we thought we should share with you, and to take this discussion forward. Now, in order to take this discussion forward, we have selected actually two areas where we need to, because IFG has a very important role to play in those particular areas in future. One is bioenergy, and then the other is solar. We have a very international figure and an luminary here from bioenergy sector. Pramod Chaudhary ji is the president and the chairman of Praj Industries. So I will request him to please share his vision about the sector, and also how IFG can take that responsibility to make that vision into reality. And then further, I will request Monish Ahuja ji to further supplement those points and cover this sector, bioenergy. Then we will take the solar one. Pramod ji.
Thank you, Suresh ji. Thanks for this opportunity to share with you the various happenings. Bioenergy has got a very major center stage, and Government of India, in line with Atmanirbhar Bharat, has really given a very major push. IFG has been doing excellent work in the past, and with the recent development of going for 20% blending by 2025, you know that it is preponed by 5 years. Originally, it was planned for 2030. Now it is at 2025. And they added a lot of new feedstocks in the first generation biofuels. So that is a very heartening development, and there's a lot of activity going on. On the same side, the first batch of second generation biofuel projects are progressing very well in 3 different parts of the country, in Punjab, in Haryana, and one in Odisha. So these are also going, and they will be, I think, commissioned maybe next year. So we'll have a complete range of activities in that. Meanwhile, what I was saying, that bioenergy is slowly getting into what is called as bioeconomy. And I think that is a wider scope, because it is involving, it's inclusive of income to farmers, which is the most important parameter. It is also involving saving of foreign exchange, and it is also creating rural employment and rural entrepreneurship. So these are the few elements which makes bioenergy a bioeconomy platform. And that's where the widening of the whole scope is happening in the case of we started with biofuel, and now it is becoming kind of bioeconomy. And the next level which is happening is what we call as ultra advanced biofuel. I don't know, we have kept few slides to be shown here, but there's a time just to run through them? Kanjuji?
Yeah.
Yes, you can, please.
Yeah, quickly, Amol, please quickly just show what we talk about ultra advanced. This is the global development happening in the area of ultra advanced biofuels, and aviation fuels is becoming the very important parameter. Can you just switch over that screen?
वो आपको participants को sharing screen का permission देना पड़ेगा.
Who is Sanjay ji? Can you allow him to? You're on mute.
I am making you co-host.
Okay, now
okay, done.
I'm not able to see that. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Sure. Amal, quickly, you can give some background on that.
So is the screen
visible?
Yeah,
okay.
It's visible.
Just quickly go through the ultra advanced biofuels and how IFG can play a significant role in promotion of these biofuels. I'll just keep some of the slides related to biomobility. But we have defined ultra advanced biofuel as the biofuels for which the technology is under development and demonstration, and for which market and policy drivers are yet to be established. Now, if you see this table, you will find that the conventional biofuels, the technology is very much mature. It is there in the market for past 30, 40 years. The market is already established. There are certain policy drivers in the market. Also for the second advanced biofuels, there are established market with policy drivers such as the drivers for second generation ethanol, the Satat driver for compressed biogas, and the technology is under commercial scale up. But then there is a third type of biofuels which we call ultra advanced biofuels, such as sustainable aviation fuel, biomethanol, biohydrogen, and biofuel, for which the technology is under development and demonstration, and market is yet to be established. Also, policy drivers are yet to be established. And we believe that IFG can play a significant role in establishing market and policy drivers for commercialization of ultra advanced biofuels. Now, Praj has been involved as a coalition member for World Economic Forum's Clean Skies for Tomorrow initiative for commercialization of sustainable aviation fuel. And
slide change.
So basically, how IFG can play a significant role is by building coalition of stakeholders. So identifying stakeholders in the value chain and supply chain and bringing them into the one platform with goal of commercialization of UAVs, that is ultra advanced biofuels. And then IFG can compile the data related to different technological pathways, feedstock availability, and production economics from various coalition partners. Also can do the study of market trends and technologies in the globe and how it can be adopted for India. Then IFG can also create and enhance the visibility of ultra advanced biofuels by organizing various conferences, networking and promotion events, as well as sending out periodic insight reports. It can make the market potential visible to the producers, investors, and other stakeholders, so as to incentivize them to get into this sector of ultra advanced biofuels. And with the emphasis on alignment with the goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat, doubling farmers' income and climate change, particularly the nationally determined contributions, IFG can establish the social, economic, and environmental benefits to the nation, so that it will help in the policy advocacy. And the next step would be develop and execute strategy for commercialization of UAVs. So IFG can develop the commercialization pathway, business plan, and action roadmap, and help and can lead the implementation strategy with the help of all stakeholders in the supply chain. IFG can also help various stakeholders in establishment of supply chain and production facilities, so that for commercialization of any new technology, it will require investment in the pilot scale plant, demonstration scale plant, and ultimately into the commercial scale plant. So with the help of coalition members, IFG can play an important role in coordinating the establishment of pilot, demo, and commercial scale plants. And finally, IFG can play the most important role in establishing tenets of policy drivers, because since these are the upcoming and evolving technologies, these technologies may not be commercially viable. So it would require certain producers' incentives, such as viability gap funding, or certain premium pricing structure or tax credits. And IFG can play a very important role in policy advocacy and establishing the tenets of policy driver. So IFG can work with various government agencies and bring all concerned ministries on the same platform, so as to ensure the coherent and collective government approach. So we believe that IFG can really play the voice of ultra advanced biofuels in India, and it would be a very significant role in commercialization of ultra advanced biofuels, which include sustainable aviation fuel, marine biofuel, biomethanol, and biohydrogen. So the important steps that we discussed thus now is building coalition, developing and implementing strategy for commercialization, establishing policy drivers, and promotions and conferences.
Right now, World Economic Forum is trying to do that globally, and they have established, or they try to do something in India. So I feel that why we cannot do it, and the IFG can be doing that part without really any problems. We should be able to do that. And these are all first generation, second generation, all well established. CBG is established. All the policies are in place. So we have to take something which is totally on the horizon. And I strongly suggest that we can look into this area. I'm sure Sureshji can use some more guidance in this area because he is having a global perspective in front of him. Anything else? Amol is over?
Yeah. So that's done. So here is an example of how IFG can build the platform of position of various stakeholders. So there would be biofuel producers. There would be.
It's getting reported. So I think it's fine.
Yeah.
You can stop sharing after. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this was really futuristic, in terms of what IFG should do, particularly in the sunrise sector, which I see within the green energy ambit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pramodji and your entire team. You have been always a great support in terms of wherever we need any help, your team and your support is always there. To further supplement on this particular sector, I'll request Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja to please, share his ideas and what he thinks that IFG should, how IFG should contribute in that.
Thank you, Sanjay ji, Suresh Prabhu sir. Good evening, Colonel Monish Ahuja this side. Good evening to all the members here. So, Prespel is a company which has been uniquely working in the last decade on biomass supply chain management as the focus area. And I think good support from all industry members, especially Pramod Chaudhary sir, 7-8 years back when he one day patted my back and said that if you continue doing this, it will be a brand name and a good name in this industry. So, and CII forums where I think he allowed a participation for a startup company. IFG has also supported Prespel 2 years back by acknowledging and awarding us as a special jury award. And I think we have been able to demonstrate in multiple geographical locations pan-India of how to engage with the farmer communities to create village level entrepreneurs and deliver sustainable fixed price year-on-year biomass to projects and take away the risk of raw material availability, raw material pricing, raw material in quantity and quality from large projects which are coming up in the bioenergy segment. So be it the ethanol space, be it compressed biogas, be it biomass IPPs, cogeneration plants, today value addition in densification of briquettes and pellets, all of it require uniquely the sustainable supply chain management. So I will give two analogies here, which I think the August gathering should take note of. We have about 3,000 plus biomass IPPs as NPA in this country. And these are NPAs with predominantly one reason, that the availability of biomass supply chain management has not been thought about and the price points of feedstock have continuously gone up. So that is one analogy. If you look at Northeast India, today, Numaligarh refinery is setting up a bamboo-based bioethanol plant with a capital investment of close to around 1,800 crores. And in a 150 kilometer radius around that same plant, new plant which is coming up, we have 4 paper mills which are shut down for want of bamboo. And again, it is government money. So the dichotomy is absolutely evident and clear that our policies are very good. Our plans are very good. Unfortunately, as a country, when we go into the implementation phase, we falter out. And hence, the capital which is required to come in the bioenergy sector starts moving away. And banks and financial institutions government companies which are taking the lead kind of slow down and the sector dies down. So while one aspect is the policy education, which IFG and similar organizations are doing fantastically across all forums right up till PMO, but the gap still remains on the implementation side. And I think that's where I would like to draw attention of how we can get sound implementation done, which is replicable. So key elements there, I think technology, nobody better than Praj or Primov Agrogas. So those technologies are there. They have put money, they are putting their heart and commitments to deliver these technologies on the Indian side. The financial institutions are coming around with support from RBI, putting many of these projects under priority sector lending, upping the cap from 15 crores to 50 crores. So more funding coming in the CBG space. Market getting created, yes. However, to look at the flip side, despite the markets getting created in the last 7 years, we still do not have projects on the ground. And if we don't see these projects on the ground in the next 2 to 3 years, this will become a 10-year story which will die its natural death. So companies like Prespel, which is an Indian grown company, all the management personnel, including me, are ex-Fauji's. We are running this in the bioenergy segment. We are able to demonstrate bioenergy deliverance, but we have moved away from the risk of working with discoms, working with oil marketing companies, working with wherever there could be a government offtake, because we don't find that happening in a period of time. And we are focusing only on a B2B segment. And in the B2B segment, without any subsidy, without any government support, we are growing 2x every year on a business top line. So one has to see how we can compete with fossil fuel, how we can deliver this bioenergy segment to where it is palatable in a decentralized format. And that is where we are now moving forward, and we have received in my company almost about 90% of foreign direct investment, including from government of UK through DFID, so Development Financial Capital, funding from Shell Global as an equity investor. And just to share with this August gathering, in the next 30 days, we will announce one of the largest Japanese corporations investing in equity in Prespel. So all this in terms of capital from FDI is coming into the Indian business, but Indian capital is not getting mobilized. And till today, there is no banking support to the business of Prespel. No bank is willing to fund biomass supply chain management. No bank is willing to fund raw material storage for 6 months to 8 months, because it has to be aggregated during the post-harvesting season. And hence, a logical question, how are we going to get billions of dollars of capital investment towards the assets once we are not going to get the supply chain management going with formal banking support? And if a company like Prespel, being the market leader with equity shareholders being State Bank of India, Government of UK, Shell, is not able to mobilize market capital from banks, I don't know which of the sectors or who's going to be mobilizing it. So these are pertinent questions which I would like and request Suresh Prabhu sir and Anna Patil Saab to take note of, to kind of be able to, through IFG, impress upon this new sector and to get this capital mobilization across the board. We have also been invited by World Economic Forum for SAF, which Pramod Chaudhary ji mentioned. And out of the 6 portfolios of SAF report, which is now available with Government of India, 4 segments of the reports have been done by Prespel in putting the supply chain management model in place. And if the SAF has to come out of the data of that WEF report, 70% of it in India will come from biomass residues only. Again, where is the supply chain management for that SAF to come in futuristic as well? So these are some pertinent questions. I think most of the August members here have traveled to multiple of Prespel sites to see our operations, which is now across Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, West Bengal, and we are fast expanding into Uttar Pradesh, Orissa, Chhattisgarh as states where we are moving into contracts. Thank you so much.
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, Monishji, for your valuable inputs. Just to add one point here, IFG has applied under Spurti scheme for cluster development of micro enterprises as technical agency. Hopefully, that will also help in this aggregation process. I will discuss that separately with you, and maybe that will also provide the critical support at grassroots level for the things which you had mentioned. Thank you so much. On solar's energy area, which is again a very critical component of green energy, I'll request Dr. Vidya Murukumbi, who is now very strongly investing in that sector, to please share her vision about this solar sector of India and how IFG can work into that, and maybe she can touch a bit on ethanol also during her address. Dr. Murukumbi.
Thank you, Ganjuji, and everybody. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, I thank government for coming out with very good schemes and budgets for the solar sector. One is Kusum scheme of providing 20 lakh pumps is very visionary, which saves the power loss transferred to the rural area from the grids, and the farmer will become self-sufficient for his irrigation by putting this at low cost, because major cost is borne by the MNRE and state governments. Second is there is a lot of interest from foreign investors to come into the solar sector, especially rooftops and substations near the grids. Very, very vast scope there. Now, what are the problems? Means though SECI, IREDA have got big budgets, but on ground, as Monishji said, we have very good policies, but implementation on ground has become very, very slow. I don't say it is not taking, but it is not taking the speed. Why it is not taking speed? There are many reasons which I want to put forth here. Now, government is introducing domestic manufacturing by introducing SED, BCD, etc. But all the tenders what government or DESCOMs are coming out, we manufacturers, we have entered into solar modules also, manufacturing solar modules. So what we are facing problem is the policies of government are not pertinent. Suppose if anybody enters the tender today, they are not sure what duties will come on the imported things, what taxes will increase on the manufacturing sector of the solar components, how steel will become up and down. If we see the markets, 10% here or there is always welcome. But in solar sector, because of many reasons, this is happening at a very, very high fluctuation levels. Now, for last time, there was a safeguard duty on the imported panels. We totally are with government to become Atmanirbhar in production of these solar modules or inverters or any component that is needed for the solar energy. There is no doubt about it. Being patriots, we have to support it. But government has proposed 25.75 kW for the pumps under Kusum scheme and 22 GW for the rooftops. One thing we have to see that to this extent, our manufacturing up to 2022. So up to 2022, this much of capacity in domestic manufacturing is impossible to receive. So what we are proposing to government is, instead of adding safeguard duty, because of that, what has happened? Panel rates are every day changing. Module rates are every day changing. Though we are also manufacturers of modules, we welcome that. But the increase, everyday increase in the modules is discouraging the tenderers to go for the tender, because they are not sure of what cost it will be till it comes for the implementation. This is a competitive bidding. And now if you see, many tenders are getting again and again, they are reversing, coming back, because the interest to enter in the tender is becoming less and less. So government has to give assurance that any duty imposed after a certain period, after whatever tender period, now Krishi Pump tender is floated. After that, whatever duty is imposed in the interest of nation should be passed through for the tenderer who has won the tender. Otherwise, nobody will come forward now onwards, because there was an announcement in between that again the safeguard duty is going to be increased, or some other duty is to be put on the imports to support the domestic production. That is welcome. But one should know in coming 2 years what will be the duty, or there has to be pass through for the duty increase in between the period. So that is one thing. Second thing, what is happening is glass. Government has put so much of import duty on the glass. There is only for the modules manufacturing, only one manufacturer is in India, that is Borosil. If you see, the glass prices have been doubled. The company's NP has gone from 15% to 50%. We don't bother if somebody, it is welcome, somebody is making money. But that has increased the price of the modules like anything. And secondly, one manufacturer cannot cater this much of capacity. So government has to think over that, or put a price cap at least. Every day glass prices are going up and down. Then local manufacturers of modules also are in a puzzle at what rate they have to quote. And then tenders go. This is a vicious circle which has happened after China's aggressive moves, when government started stopping the imports and the government's policy to become India Atmanirbhar. So our request from IFAGE, we have to see these are the problems. Otherwise, this solar energy of 25 GW and 20 GW will remain as a dream only. It will not come forth. Now itself, whatever tenders were floated in last 6 months, the tenders have defaulted. They thought whatever EMD we have paid, let it go. At this module price, at this glass price, we cannot put the this ones, whatever projects they have been sanctioned or allotted. So this has to change, and this IFAGE has to take. I am requesting all the manufacturers, means small manufacturers of modules and system integrators, to come and join IFAGE. We will, with Mr. Ganju, we are trying to make awareness. You come and join, and jointly we have to put forth in front of the government. Otherwise, this is not going to happen on the field. As Mr. Monishji was telling, there has to be chain of raw material supply. Here, unless the rates are steady, who will go for the tender? And unless people are working on the field, no projects or no target will be completed. It is not only policy, it is not only duty. There are so many problems which have to be taken to the government, especially to PMO office. We suppose that they have very good schemes, but there are problems on the field. Secondly, coming to rooftops. government has a very big target of coming out with the rooftops, but DESCOMs are not cooperating. Now they have put there is one circular that rooftops only up to 10 kilowatt will be net metering. Unless net metering, rooftops will not come out. And if they put a limit on 10 kilowatt, then how much rooftops will come out? Very few. There should not be any, at least up to 500 kilowatt, they should give net metering. So these are the critical, this one not only for our company, though we are India's largest in Krishi pumps and rooftops. If we are facing this much of problem, what about the other MSMEs? Because many of the in this field are MSMEs. So this is where IFH has to work very hard, appreciating government's all the solar promotion programs. We have to take these facts to the government, up to PMO office, MNRE and up to PMO office, and see that something practical remedy has to be given. Then only this target will be reached. Otherwise, it is impossible to reach. Even half of it will not reach. It is only 2 years now. In 2 years, is any manufacturing capacity of modules or glass is going to be 3 times, 4 times? It's not possible. This is what is happening. What happened in ethanol, same thing is happening. Mr. Pramod will agree with me. Pramod ji, even ethanol, 45% of the factories are not having distilleries only. There is a question of ethanol production to the extent of whatever tenders are floated by the OMCs. So the problems are to be hit at the root itself, as in biomass, as in solar, as in ethanol. So this is what we have to combine all these stakeholders and take to the, especially IFH has to be representative of the green energy, that these are the targets we have set for ethanol, these are the targets we have set for the biomass, these are the targets. Though government is encouraging all these green sector, but on field, whatever problems are there, they have to be solved first. Then only these programs will go ahead. Thank you. I think.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on which IFG can, work.
Yeah, I have contacted our other colleagues also, manufacturers, and this one. I will also encourage them to come and tell whatever their problems are there.
Great.
Because there are maybe multi problems for the small manufacturers also.
Absolutely, so, and we'll take definitely their help.
Yeah, we will. You take a lead. Means we should take a lead and solve the problems. And by grace of God, we have enough of sunlight, which we should utilize, so that fossil generation of electricity should come down from the environment point, from the other points. We should use that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Prafulji, my friend from President, he's President of Solar Energy Society of India, a close friend working with IFG since its inception. Prafulji, you might like to add some points on the solar thing.
Yes.
IFG can,
Yes. Before going to solar, I'm really happy to see biofuel presentation. And I had one query in that, which all the August gathering can look in. Do we have any institution or university especially working or doing some studies for biofuel? And if not, IFG should look into that. That is what my suggestion is in regard to biofuel. Because wherever you have such type of technologies coming up, you need to have institutions which will study on that. So that is one submission which I would like to give to IFG, that we should look in for when we are looking at biofuel. Now coming to my topic of solar energy, I thank Dr. Vidya Murkumbi for giving a brief and really a very sincere.
I hope you agree with me what points are.
At some points I agree, but I have some different views also. But yes,
Yes.
I agree with you, and my opinion or my thoughts are going parallel to that. But there are some different suggestions, because as I was introduced in the first phase, I'm lucky to have both sides at my purview. On one side, I represent the electricity utility, and on the other side, I am on the solar energy sector. And as we all were talking about the hydrogen mission and all that, I remember the days of 2010 or before that, when Solar Energy Society of India was active, and we were pleading to the government about the solar mission. So now, after 10 years, we are moving from solar mission to hydrogen mission. So coming to my point, and for solar energy, see, in last 10 years, what we have witnessed is the tariff or the rates which were there in 2010-11 were 11 rupees are now offered to the tune of 1 rupee 90 paisa. So this drastic change has occurred in this sector, and this has occurred continuously. It is because of many reasons. Means there are some reasons which are within India. There are some reasons wherein we have some because of the neighboring country. Then the financial rich countries, they also they got to know that India is the destination next for the renewable energy or solar energy. So they came up with their financial suggestions. And the result is, means I remember 2016, when it was somewhere 5 rupees 50 paisa was the rate, and we were expecting when this will be at par with the conventional state and all that. But the speed or the reverse bidding procedure which has been adopted by us, and the huge setups or huge infrastructure by way of solar parks and all that we came up. So the rates came down, and now people are thinking that and the effect of that is, as Dr. Murkumbi was referring about the tenders and all that. See, the government and both the agencies have to review the tenders which were there, or the orders which they had in 2010 or 11, because the orders were placed considering the next 15 years or 20 years, and the situation had changed, which no one had thought ever in the dreams. No one had thought that solar rates will come to below rupees 2. And see, the bidders are offering all these things. So whenever someone is doing tender or asking for some bid, and if he is getting such type of bids, these bids will become the in the market, it gets talked about, and then everyone expects that whosoever bids, he should bid in that range. And the other thing is these pandemic situations, the neighboring country situations, they are affecting this sector, solar sector. So we have to live in the situations which we have, because it's a vulnerable situation. Means things are going up and down, and definitely it's really tough to do business in this. I fully agree with you, Dr. Murkumbi. Everyone is worried about all these things. Government has derived policies considering the whatever the feedbacks they had, but till that policies come in, till that policies are in the stage of implementation or further tendering and all that, the things are changing drastically. And because of that, nobody in this country is at this time in a position to tell or share that this will be the future or this will be a stable condition. So now we have to wait for something wherein we will think that, okay, this is the stable line, or this is the line wherein we all will continue for a year or 2 year or 4 year. I don't know that line, but we have to derive that, or we have to work for that. So this is part one of my sharing. The other part, I am having a different opinion about sharing electricity to the utilities, particularly DISCOM. See, you all know in the budget, there is a huge provision for the DISCOMs in the budget. Why it is? Because DISCOMs are really in a very tough situation. They all are in losses. And the agency or the organization which is already in losses and not in a position to acquire or get out of it, and we are trying to rely on that, I differ here. I request everyone in solar sector, let's think of something Atmanirbhar. Why we are depending on utilities? Why we are thinking, or why our thought process is that whatever we will do, we will sell it to the DISCOM. Why do that? We have to think something different. Then what next? What we can think different? See, I have a suggestion that DISCOMs supplying their power to the rural areas is a big problem for them. So if we can have some business model or something by our solar sector, which will have their infrastructure installed for these rural ends, and then we can ask DISCOM that, okay, leave it to us. This area we will take care of. The franchisee model or something like that. So if that type of some business model comes in and which will free DISCOM from these liabilities, I should not say these things, but agriculture load or supply to the agriculture at a zero rate or at a very minimal rate is a problem of DISCOM. So we have to tell them that we will take this problem out. We will put up our infrastructure there. We will supply of solar power to these areas. Now you tell us what input or what type of help you can offer to us. So definitely, I believe that DISCOM can offer us some new thoughts or new ideas, because this is problem. In my opinion, this is the problem. Here is the problem, and we need to think on. We talk about rural empowerment. We talk about the economic upliftment of rural sector. So we have to. Solar sector has to become Atmanirbhar, and they have to take this area, which is otherwise a problem for DISCOM. So these are the two thoughts I basically have today, which I would like to share.
Thank you, Prafulji. So nice of you. So nice of you. Very important. We have already spent more than an hour. Suresh Prabhuji also must be, having some other commitments. Couple of brief points from Anil Muthaji for bamboo sector, and then we move on to Suresh ji for his, thoughts and vision. Anil ji.
Yeah. Good evening, all participants. Suresh Prabhuji, good evening to you, sir. And IFG has really done very credible job as far as the bamboo industry is concerned. There is a lot of support from the central government as far as the policy matters are concerned. They have declared bamboo as a grass. Now there is a duty on the import of bamboo incense sticks, and that has really helped bamboo industry as a whole. But now there are certain issues that need to be addressed. That is, one is bamboo, unless there are multiple factories next to each other where the whole bamboo is used, because right now if incense sticks are made, their yield is around maximum 11%. So if the other bamboo is not, the bamboo waste is not used, that industry will not become viable. For that, you need industries which are helping each other to use waste of one factory in the other factory. If that happens, then only bamboo industry as a whole will become successful in India. And we have set up a very good example in Tripura, where I am manufacturing bamboo wood, which is they are calling a parent industry, and my waste is used by agarbatti, incense stick making industry, briquette making industry. So my waste also, I also earn something from my money, from my waste, and they get raw material where their yield is now more than 70 to 80%. If such structure is adopted all over India, then bamboo industry will become very successful. The second problem what we face, I as a manufacturer of bamboo wood, from where we are making flooring, wall paneling, and it is a very high class material. It is also listed in DSR of CPWD, but now they are telling me you are the only manufacturer in India, and so you are a monopoly. Now at first stage, there are no other manufacturer, it is not my fault. And so they have changed the specification to suit import from China. Whereas Indian government is looking for Atmanirbhar Bharat, one branch of government is saying you are a monopoly, so we will allow even Chinese material to be imported. And they have changed the specification recently. Similarly, one of the institute of government, that is Building Material and Technology Promotion Council, who had given me performance appraisal certificate, which they give after a lot of test and everything. They have given those certificates to the importer also. So we told them, you are saying Atmanirbhar Bharat and you are giving certificates to importer also, whereas it is written, it is only for the manufacturer. So such tricky issues are coming, where we need interference from the government. And if that happens, bamboo industry has a very bright future. Because we have limited time, I have only dealt on two important issues. One is... Hello.
Yeah, Anil.
Yeah. So these are the two important issues that need to be dealt with. That bamboo industry should be set up in such a way, waste of one factory should be the raw material for the other factory. So the 100% bamboo can be utilized properly. And in initial stage, when there are no other factories, any factory should not be treated as a monopoly, because this is a bamboo industry is in a developing stage. It is not a fully developed. And unless there are some success stories, no other entrepreneur will come and invest in the bamboo sector. So thank you very much. I think I have delivered the two important points.
Yes,
because of paucity of time, other points we can discuss at other time.
The cluster-based development of bamboo industry, and the other thing is Atmanirbhar Bharat should be in letter and spirit, not only as a
spirit. It should be followed.
Thank you, and so nice of you. I now request Honorable Suresh Prabhuji to please guide us. We have a couple of other, important members also. If you permit, we can maybe take a minute from each one of them. If you permit, Sureshji. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, Sureshji.
Can you speak?
Yes. Or can you permit a couple of interventions from our two members if you have time? Hello. Hello. There is some network issue at your end. Hello. Sureshji, please go ahead. Hello. Can you listen?
System hanged there.
Yeah, I think there is just encounter some network issues. Hello, Suresh Prabhuji. He has dropped. Maybe he'll join again. Suresh Prabhuji, sir, please, can you listen or? Hello, Sureshji.
No connection.
No. Some network issue at his end. We'll just wait for a minute. Hello. Hello, Sureshji. Yeah, now we can see you. Please unmute yourself.
Can I speak?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay. I think we lost some connection for some time.
Yes.
But anyway, yes. I will, firstly, need to note the kind of support IFG enjoys, kind of involvement all of you have in such a great organization. And therefore, I must firstly thank Vaibhav Dange, Sanjay Ganju, Anna Saheb Patil, and Pramod Chaudhary, Vidyaji, Lieutenant Colonel Manish Ohujaji, as well as Mr. Pathak for making some very good, interesting contribution to this entire process, as well as Mr. Anil Mutha. I will be very brief because you have made some, and I will tell you about what, in my opinion, can be done, and we should work on that. Firstly, these kind of inputs are very important. These are the problems which you are facing on the ground. You know where the shoe pinches. Therefore, it is very important that we as an organization should take up these issues. We'll be very happy with our friend and colleague Nitin Gadkari ji to take it forward at all the ministry level. For the banking issues, we should organize one program, not just seminar kind of a thing, a round table with Indian Banking Association and Reserve Bank of India and Ministry of Finance with the banking division, financial services division, wherein we can make a protocol I remember when I was the Commerce Industry Minister, the James and Jewelry industry, after this famous scandal that happened in the James and Jewelry industry, wherein Modi issue happened, they were not willing to give money to the banking industry. The banking industry was not willing money to James and Jewelry. I said, how can you do that? You must understand the business, what they are doing. I said that these are my terms. You must fit your strategy with their business model. And therefore, we developed a protocol which helped banking industry, which helped the industry as well. So we should do something like that, and we'll work on that. So that is one of the issues that was raised by all of you. Then to feed into the policymakers, this federation is well equipped. Sanjay Ganju has all the capabilities to do that, and we'll all support him to take it forward and make it happen. I would like to just make a few points. One is, national level, Prime Minister Modi is fully supportive of green energy. And our federation is not just renewable, it's green energy. Green energy is a much wider term than renewables. Therefore, I think we are on the right track. There's a full support from the government, particularly led by Prime Minister himself. Where the problem comes, as you correctly mentioned, is implementation. And absolutely right. Whether it's supply chain, what Lieutenant Colonel Manish Ahuja mentioned, or Vidyaji mentioned about the problem that are faced, or the biofuel industry's problem, they are absolute real problems. There's no denying the fact that these problems don't exist. They are real problems because there is a vast difference between policy making and the implementation, the vision and the reality. And what you discussed today is a reality. There's no dispute about vision, but the problem is about reality in terms of implementation. So we'll have to take out each and every issue concerning each ministry, and we'll have to take it forward to that particular ministry and actually solve it to the end. So I think the federation can work on that, and I am sure Sanjay Kachru has all the capabilities, and we'll have to, each one of us have to support him to make that happen. My few points were, I think Mr. Pathak touched it at the end. Over a period of time, we had to go for a distributed generation, standalone systems. If you go through DISCOMs, we always will have a problem. And this is what I had experienced way back in 2002, when I was a Minister of Power. That's why we decided to make Electricity Act bypassing the DISCOMs. Unfortunately, subsequent government, even after passing Electricity Act, they made amendments to that. Otherwise, these problems would have been solved by now. And also, we are trying to work on the ground through APDP, which was initially called an APRDP, and many other names it changed after that. And I had 40,000 crores. I got it sanctioned from the cabinet, 40,000 crores in 2002, probably 20 years ago. So you can imagine what's the value of that today. For helping DISCOMs to go in, not for this kind of that one-time settlement I done separately. This was the money which was given for each and every distribution circle, how to reduce T&D losses and how to privatize some of the distribution circles. To give it to the private sector who will generate renewable or other forms of energy and distribute it there locally. But anyway, we'll have to work on that. And my idea was this type of brainstorming session is very important. Can we make district by district mapping of renewable energy resources and green energy sources? Like Mr. Ahuja can find out renewable energy or his supply chain in particular district of India. He will not find it each and every district of India. Maybe it is possible, but bulk of it will be found in some part of India. Solar is a different thing. Solar energy can be found anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country, because we have more than 300 days of sunshine. But resources for green energy, locally available resources are in district. So if you can make district by district mapping of what kind of resources are available there, bring together a different suppliers of that resources, maybe if it is biomass or whether it is green fuel or something, and use the common infrastructure available to DISCOM and use it for distribution. There's a provision in Electricity Act that only wheeling charges will be charged by the DISCOM. And the wheeling charge will be decided by the regulator. Of course, there's a big problem. Despite the law, again implementation problem, because the regulators and the DISCOMs are not following it. So we'll have to find out ways of doing it, but the law is there. In fact, I was the one who piloted that law in the parliament, introduced the bill in the parliament. So we should work on that and take it forward. That is one part. But district by district, it is very important. Prime Minister vision is the same. Prime Minister support is there. Only issue is from Prime Minister support to implementation, we have to find out how to address it and try to work on that. But support, if there was no Prime Minister support, it would never happen. The Prime Minister support is there and therefore we can take it forward. Mr. Nitin Gadkari, I have met him recently and we discussed this also. He also realizes these problems of implementation. So we'll have to work together and address the issues of implementation. The second part of our vision of this organization, because we have discussed sectorally, biofuels, solar energy, biomass, all of those. Bamboo as feedstock. What we have to do, there is a huge momentum that is coming in for climate change globally. Thanks to the Biden administration taking over only a few days ago in United States, and the first thing it did was to sign an executive order to rejoin the Paris Accord. And he didn't only wait at that, he appointed someone as senior as John Kerry, who was a presidential candidate, who was a former Secretary of State, one of the most senior senators, as his special envoy on climate change. It's a very demonstrative gesture. That means now climate change is going to be back in action globally. If you want to implement Paris Accord, you cannot do it without green energy. Impossible. So green energy now will become again a focus. So what we have to do, our federation should work at district level locally, but at an international level globally. And I will tell you some of the issues of policy, some of the issues of implementation will get addressed, because there could be, once we are part of a global alliance, we are part of global issues. While we need to address it nationally, this type of global support also will help in a great deal. So we have to work on both at the same time. Distributed generation at district level, collecting data, mapping resources available at a district level, and working on that, but at the same time, not to lose vision of what we have to do globally. If you do this both at the same time, I'm very sure you'll see our federation emerging as the most effective voice for the green energy sector of the country. We need more engagement with government agencies. We need to have more interactions with all those important players who are involved in implementation. My point is well taken. But let us all have joined hands and try to work on that. I've seen, and this is my 25th year in the parliament, and 10 different cabinet positions, I've seen that implementation always is a problem. I fully agree with you. There's no question about it. But how do you address implementation? That's the question. How do you address implementation? Tell me. The only way we can do it is by constantly engaging with the people who are actually supposed to be doing it. That's the only way it can happen. There's no other way that we can do implementation otherwise. We must bring it to the attention of Prime Minister, to the ministers, to the secretaries, and even down below, all different organs of the government which are involved in implementation. And this is one sector. There will be multiple agencies which will be involved, right from financing to policy making to many others. So we'll have to work on that. And also state governments. All the DISCOMs are owned by the state governments. So that's another issue. But we have to address it effectively through engagement with the people. But I think our vision should be clear. And as I said, from vision to action, whatever impediments come in the way in terms of implementation, we have to address them together. And if we do that, I'm very sure we'll succeed in making India as a hub for green energy, because there is no choice. We have to be, that whole concept of Atmanirbharta depends upon how do you make this as a possibility. I'll just tell you, Mr. Mutha mentioned about bamboo. And my dear friend, Anna Sahib, is a member of the Bamboo Mission. In 1998, 82 years ago, the bamboo was first introduced in India's public policy. I was the Environment Minister.
Again, some problem in connection. Hello? Sureshji, we lost your connection, I think.
Network of bamboo at Ratan. And then as a result of the environment, I presented him a bamboo sapling. And then
you will have to unmute yourself, Sureshji. You need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself, Sureshji.
No, the connection is hang.
Connection is also hang, but the mic is also on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
I think there is some problem with the
Data connection. There's some problem with data connection.
Please unmute yourself. This mic is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sanjay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there is some problem with the connection in my office. I'm speaking from office. But I personally feel that we can definitely address the issues together. Mr. Pathak mentioned about university. I am a chancellor of a university called Rishud University. We'll find out whether it is doable, feasible, but we can work on that. I told you about how can we take these issues forward. But I am very sure the kind of people that we have in this federation, they're all very competent people, extremely knowledgeable, extremely committed. Only thing what we is missing is that we have to, because last year was a washout year. We could not do much because there was nothing that can be done. Now we have made again, we'll follow it through. And we have a very excellent person in Sanjay Ganju as the person who's guiding it. Vaibhav is taking a lot of interest. Nitin Gadkari is also there with us. And then all of you are there. Anna Sahib is also there. Pramodji is one of the dynamic entrepreneur of India. So we'll take this forward and take this to the logical end. Only thing that we should not lose is heart, because we have to keep going. We'll work together and take it forward. So let me thank you for this brainstorming session. I have a G7 meeting. Actually, it's already started, so I have to go there and join it. But I was tell you something, that if you can make this vision from district mapping, we can take help of whichever agency the government has done that mapping, and we improve upon it, and globally, including tying up with International Energy Agency and many others, so that our voice will be heard better when we are also part of an international organization, so that voice will be also heard locally in a proper way. This is our cycle. It's something which comes from abroad, we accept it better. So we take it forward, and implementation is a very important issue. I agree with you fully, and we'll really work on each one of the issues. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Sureshji, for sharing your visionary ideas. We at IFG will definitely try our best to make those ideas happen on ground. I will request if Sureshji, you have to go for another meeting, maybe you can, log out. But
I want to add, Sanjay.
Anna Sahib, M.K. Patil, to please conclude the session. And
I just add one thing, Sanjay. Sureshji, in the last meeting, in fact, he himself suggested that we can work with Niti Aayog on creating a green energy map of India, district-wise green energy map of India. And I think it was a brilliant and excellent idea.
Absolutely.
He has taken an initiative, and we are grateful that he spoke to Niti Aayog, and we hopefully will have a meeting with them in another week or so. So I think that will be a great beginning to have that project to create a green energy map of India. So I think that's a great beginner. I just wanted to share that with you.
Absolutely, and these two ideas of Sureshji will definitely take IFG, leaps and bounds further. One is global to, local to global. Another is energy mapping of India. I think these two are very important ideas which we need to take forward. Thank you so much, Sureshji. I will request Anna Sahib to please conclude the session. Santosh ji, Rajinder ji, I acknowledge your presence. We always take your inputs on regular basis. I'm sorry we couldn't give you much of time today. Suresh ji had some other meeting also to attend, and Chandrasekhar ji. Anna Sahib, please conclude.
Yeah.
You always guide us and lead us. I request you to please conclude.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Good. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, Suresh Prabhuji and the Vaibhavji, the representatives from the various industries, as well as from the experts. Really, the discussion was very important and vital. Particularly our speakers, Mr. Pramodji from Raj, Mr. Ahuja, Mr. Murkumbi, and Prafulla Pathakji, and finally, we were talk about Muthaji. Really, the people, particularly the speakers, have given the factual situation of the country on green energy problems as well as green energy things which should go ahead. In fact, I thank to all of you, particularly discuss freely about the situation of various industries and various stakeholders from the green energy factors. Particularly, Mr. Prabhuji has also spoken about the various problems with the government, as well as from the practical things from the implementers. I feel these problems are very important, and I know IFG is fighting with the government in various sectors, bringing to them to make certain policies to solve the problems of the stakeholders. In fact, PMO also and the particular certain ministers also help us very well and take our sort of a suggestions for the industrial sector as well as other people to benefit and to go ahead, all the industries ahead. But there are certain restrictions, particularly told by our speakers, that there are hurdles. Say just like Murkumbi and Prafulla Pathak has explained about the solar energy. Ahuja was very particular about the biomass and to benefit to the farmers. I feel that in that case, this matter should be tackled in the district places along with the state governments, which will certainly help to the farmer and find out the solutions. And all these problems should be tackled very well with the support of the farmers, industrialists, even some technology sponsors. All these people are should take care of all these factors. And I personally feel they are doing enormous work and good work. IFG will certainly help to them, join them, and as a suggestor, not policymaker, but would certainly help to all the stakeholders of this industry. I thank Mr. Sanjay Ganjuji, Vaibhavji, and particularly our respected Suresh Prabhuji and all the speakers who have told their opinions very clearly to us. And I feel this was a very important meeting. And I also thank to all the IFG members, particularly who take care of all these stakeholders. And we feel we will certainly take the suggestions from the various people and approach to the government as well as to the industry jointly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna Sab. It reminds me that Praj Tower, the team which is sitting there, last year, March, we were in Pune. This was also one of the important milestones of IFG, where we discussed certain things, to take it forward. But unfortunately, COVID came in between. So I think today's meeting also, again, we are revisiting the Pune. We have a team sitting there under the leadership of Vaibhavji in Praj Towers, and supported by Colonel Patil Saab and Venugopalji and the entire Praj team. So I'm sure we will, this will definitely be of a great help.
Mr. Patil is a bit shy in telling his own achievements, but we have started a testing of hydrogen fuel bus in CIRT.
Oh, wonderful.
So 5,000 kilometers of testing is already done.
Oh, great.
And Tesla is sending their car for testing at CIRT.
Oh, so please invite us on that day.
Sure. You can join CIRT for having a Tesla.
You should organize a function that time in CIRT.
Tesla ride. Tesla tourism.
Tesla tourism.
It will be very good idea.
In fact, CIRT should, put a ticket on that day. You will get a lot of revenue.
Sanjay,
yeah.
We had our first, fuel cell car run in Pune.
Yeah.
Premises where the vehicle actually ran for 5 kilometers.
Wonderful.
A fuel cell car, which ran for 5 kilometers in CSR premises.
So I read about it. I remember.
Great.
I read about that. KPIT is.
So it is that initiative of KPIT, right? On which you have been working since last 2 years.
Yeah. And we are actually working on the fuel cell bus also.
So yes, Santoshji had told me, I had met Mr. Pandit once I had been to Pune. Yes. So I think good. The meeting was quite useful. I am sure under the great leadership of our IFG members, we will be able to take this mission forward and convert these ideas into actual action points. We'll be in touch. We'll keep your support regularly on regular basis. So I think I'll conclude this meeting and close the session.
Yeah. Pramodji, thank you.
Thank you, Ganjuji. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.